Hello, I'm Graham Horton. Welcome to my product review for what I think is a very useful travel adapter with USB charging facilities. Now in the past I reviewed several other of these travel adapters and some are really potentially dangerous, in as much that when you've selected one country configuration, some of the pins remain exposed, therefore you're likely to touch them and get an electric shock, so they shouldn't really be on the market, they're not really fit for purpose. When I was asked to review this one, I did so with the premise that if I found it unsafe, I would not review it. I've tested it completely and it is fully safe, so I'm quite happy to make this product review and give you my overall opinion on it. So let's have a look at the device. It says travel adapter with USB and it says it's capable of more than 150 uses, so you've got China, Australia, New Zealand, you've got the European countries and you've got the Americas as well, so it does cover the majority of places that you may want to travel in your lifestyle. So let's have a look at the device. Now it is presented in this little case. I'm not sure that's absolutely necessary, but a nice touch nevertheless. Let's open it up. Inside you'll find the multi-language user manual. Just says the original world travel adapters, and it says type C charging as well, so it not only provides you with 4 USB type A, but it provides you with 1 USB type C. More about those ports in a minute. So you've got the full description for a lot of the countries here in this booklet, and the challenge is once you've read it is to put it back into a state where it was first assembled. I failed, I can't get it back to the way that it originally was. So here's the device itself. You can see it's made out of plastic and has all the configurations for the inputs and the outputs. Now all those outputs are well shielded, the pins are well below the surface of the plastic, so there's more than 1mm gap between the plastic and any of those pins if you were to plug this in and then try to gain access to the pins. The European and UK outlets are actually shuttered as well, so again they are well covered. On the input side, once that's installed into a socket, none of the other pins are available. It is fused, and a lot of these travel adapters that you can get, this one is for if you're in the UK and you are using other equipment such as chargers for your phone, a laptop, whatever. They don't provide any fuse protection, so you're reliant on the device itself and its cable to give you protection, and that's not the way it should be done. It means that the full 13 amp potential from your socket is available on these pins, and if you were to use a cabled output, then the cable is not protected, and that's the idea of a fuse in the UK system, to protect the cable and not the actual device. The device should be independently fused. Now I do review quite a few products from Europe and from the States, and quite often they are these 2-pin plugs which come from the States. That's okay because these power supplies are universal switch mode adapters, so they run from 110 to 240, so I've got no concerns about plugging these in on the UK mains being 240 volts, and again for Europe these are 220, but they will supply 110 to 240, so you could actually use this European power supply in America because of the universal input. So again, these I would in a hurry plug into this device, so I could use the American device or I could use the European device into this plug, but they're not safe. It means that I'm unprotected. When this device came along, I found that we've got a fuse here which is rated at 8 amps, and if that fuse blows you can actually take it out, and they provide you with a spare fuse to replace if you have the problem of blowing that fuse. So you can see the fuse is held in a carrier here. The device is rated at 880 watts on the American 110 volt circuit, and it's rated at 1820 watts on the UK, so it will allow you to use devices like small travel irons, providing you keep within that 1800 watts, or small hair dryers if you keep within that 1800 watts, and that's on the 240 circuit. Now this is not a voltage converter in any way at all. It just merely passes the voltage from your outlet wall socket through to the outlets here on this socket. So if you've got a 110 volt supply, that's what will appear on the socket. So even if you plug a 13 amp UK type device in here, it will only be 110 volts coming out. You're okay if it's a switch mode power supply, but if it's a linear power supply with a transformer and rectifier, or it's a power device, then if you're on 110 volts, that's all you'll see on the other side, and you could damage your equipment if you're doing that. So please do bear that in mind. It will not change the voltage for equipment with linear power supplies, not these switch mode power supplies, which have definitely got a label on them which shows you they are 110 or 240, so they'll work either way. But devices which just say 110 or 240, be aware that you couldn't use those in other countries. So how would you use this device? Well, the input is selected by your levers on the side. So for example, if I wanted to plug this into the European plug, I can slide that forward and it latches out. So now you can see we've got the European configuration with this double triangle which fits into the European socket. When you want to release that, there is a button on the side, and you can depress that button, and that will allow you then to slide that socket back into the housing. If I was in the UK and I wanted to use my American adapter, then I would just slide out the UK plug, and again that latches, and it then means I can plug in this 110 to 240 volt units into the American socket like so, and that would be safe to use. Or I could plug in this European plug again, which would then go into the European socket, put it either way around, and that will open the shutter and provide me with safety. It's got that 8 amp fuse in there to allow me to use the 240 volt unit on the UK mains. To retract it again, you would press up the button and slide the lever back. The third outlet there, slide that forward, is the American or Australasian plug. It allows you to either have the pins parallel to the base, or you can turn them round for the configuration for Australia or New Zealand, or you can have them straight. So you've got the option there to be able to change the angle of those pins. So that would then fit into your respective socket. Again, to release it, press the button and slide it back. So there we are. It's not earthed. It doesn't really need to be if you're using travel adapters. If you notice, the UK pin is a plastic pin which is there to open the shutter on our main socket, so it doesn't need to have the earth connected. Press a button and release it. Now a look at the USB ports, and you can see we've got 4 Type A USB ports and 1 Type C. Now the Type C is power delivery, but it's only rated at 5 volts. It won't supply 9 or 12 volts, which some power delivery units will be, but this will supply 5 volts at up to 2.4 or 2.5 amps from that device. And I've tested that, and it does supply up to 2.5 amps quite happily from that device. The Type A outputs are up to 2.4 amps per socket, but the total capacity of this unit is 5.6. so if you've got 2 devices in there at 2.4, then that will give you 4.8, so you're within the 5.6 threshold. If you've got a lower current device with the slow chargers, then you may be able to use the 4 sockets to give you 4 devices on charge simultaneously, but you mustn't exceed the 5.6 amps. I've not found yet a travel adapter that's got any sort of meter in here which tells you the supply taken from those USB sockets, so you just have to look at the rating of your phone or your charger to find out what the device will take. These will support 2.4 amps per socket, and I've tested those. They do hold 2.4 amps at 5 volts, so there's no concern about the power supply being underrated. Again, a little LED in there that tells you when you're plugged into a socket. So I've got my 13 amp extension socket here on the desk, standard UK mains adapter. So I'm going to select the UK socket, which would be those 3 pins, and I can plug this into this device. You might just be able to see the little tiny white LED in there indicating that the socket is live. So it means then I can plug in any of the USB peripherals that I want to charge. I tend to use these multifunction plugs. These are rated at 1.5 amps, so I can charge type micro USB, Lightning or Type C from this device. So if I wanted to charge my camera while I'm traveling, I can use the USB micro, or I can use the socket on the Lightning, or I can use a Type C. So I've got all options covered there. If I've got more than one device, then obviously I can use multiple configurations. So being the engineer that I am, I tested the outputs of this device for the USB-C and the Type A just to verify the configuration works correctly and you do get the total power output of your USB socket. So I can confirm that it will take 5.6 amps and supply that unquestionably for the period of time. I've had this running for several days at full load and it just gets warm, but not overly so. It's a real sturdy device, and a credit to the design. It does cover all the bases of safety and intrinsic safety for the power supply. So I'll put a link to this in the product description below, where you can check out the current price in your country if it's available there. So until my next review, thanks very much for watching. Please do take care, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Goodbye for now.